Owen Schroyer, Leanne McAdoo, and we are about to be joined by Kaya Jones, somebody I'm sure you would recognize from a group back in the day called the Pussycat Dolls. Well, she dropped the Pussycat Dolls and she decided to never wear a pussy hat. And now she joins Leanne McAdoo and I. Leanne, you know I was excited to talk to Kaya today.
Very excited. We had to actually co-host the show today. Just a little background. Kaya Jones is an EDM artist. She says she was inspired by Joy Villa to come out of the closet as a Trump supporter. So she now is speaking out for those who can't, people who really have been afraid to wear their clothing in support of Donald Trump because, you know, they might be afraid they're going to get knocked out or punched or get their hat taken off or something. So, of course, Joy Villa really made just a bold statement there at the Grammys. So Kaya served as the keynote speaker at the March for Trump in Las Vegas, and she's well known there as a DJ and an EDM artist. Like you mentioned, founding member of the Pussycat Dolls. She's worked with Britney Spears, Mick Jagger, Eminem, Katy Perry, many others. So Kaya, thank you so much for joining the show today. And really, this is awesome to have people finally kind of stepping out and, you know, stepping out of the entertainment industry. They kind of keep your voice boxed in there.
Yeah, it's been kind of caging, almost imprisoned, if you will.
Now, you mentioned that, you know, after your friend, which you're seen there with her, where she's wearing the dress, she made this bold statement, really, and you said, you know what, now I'm proud to show off my Donald Trump t-shirt you were never able to wear before.
Yeah, it didn't, you know, it wasn't something that was prepared. Joy and I go way back. We've been friends for a very long time. And I'm actually really good friends with Andre Soriano, the designer of the dress. He's actually did my 2014 Grammy dress. So we all have been friends for a good amount of time. And I didn't know she was going to wear that. No one did. We actually had the same makeup artist. The makeup artist didn't know what she was going to wear. So I knew then it was going to be something interesting. Because I asked her, I said, what's Joy wearing? And she goes, I don't know. And I thought, interesting. So when we saw each other, I immediately embraced her. I just whispered in her ear, you're so brave and thank you. And then we were kind of just together for the rest of the night and saw the insanity that it caused. And it really did open up the floodgates for me. And I mean, so many other Americans, but for me, we had been friends a long time. Same with Andre Soriano. And none of us had discussed who we voted for. Not one conversation ever on we voted for Trump. And I think a lot of that is because the narrative is so not in a positive light. And, you know, I bought this beautiful shirt to support Trump last year when I was visiting NASA headquarters in Washington. And I wasn't able to wear it. And she said, will you do something for me? Can you come out and support? And I said, I'll do it in a second. Because she needed then someone to support and show that she's not alone in Hollywood. And unfortunately, everyone thinks that she is because, you know, not a lot of people have come out. There's very few that have come out, but we're here. There's a lot of us. So
when did you first decide that you were going to vote for Donald Trump, or when did you first decide to support Donald Trump? And then just to follow up on what you just said, is that typical to not talk about who you voted? Is that just standard, just nobody really talks about it? Or because of the polarized environment around this election, is that why no one was talking about it?
Right.
You know, those are both really good questions. I mean, the biggest thing is, yes, we don't talk about our political views. Everyone kind of just stays mum to the word. A lot of the reasons I even left the Pussycat Dolls, and it came out in this flood of now being able to speak my truth and be honest with who I am and that I'm a conservative. You know, at the time I thought being 19, 20, 21, like there must be something wrong with me, why am I not okay with certain things that were going on. And, you know, I had no one really to go, no, you're just a conservative girl. You know, you love Jesus, you're just not into certain things. And I just didn't understand that. And so in this process, it opened up really me understanding that I'm a conservative and there is a name for this and this is what this is. And yeah, no one really shares. It's not something that people openly share. I think of fear. For me, I knew when I was going to vote for Trump. We'll go a little bit further back than that. I started doing a lot of work for the LGBT community when I went over to Iraq in 2010 and did 20 shows in 10 days for our military in support. I met a lot of soldiers that were gay or lesbians, and they weren't able to speak their truth during Prop 8. This was in that time. So I felt that it was important to come home and support our LGBT community that was dying and, fighting for my freedom, and there wasn't more of a voice. That propelled me into now speaking a lot for the LGBT community. And I think in them not understanding what Trump was about and always being pushed a narrative that wasn't the truth of what was going on, it forced me to kind of feel shunned by the community that I was the closest to the most. In this process of actually voting for Trump, one of the main reasons I did vote for Trump, he spoke about Orlando. That was a big deal for me. Being a person that speaks out in the LGBT community and hearing him actually take a stance about what happened to Americans that night and to an attack on our LGBT community. That for me was one of the biggest reasons I voted for him. Also because he wasn't part of this whole collective of people that were going to tell you what to do and what to think, and they were part of the establishment. He didn't need the money. He wanted to do it for, the love of country. And I understand that so much. So that to me spoke volumes, and I've always respected him as a businessman. I knew he was going to win. That's what's so funny is I actually told people 2 years, like literally when it started, when he announced, I said he was going to win. And everybody I knew was like, no, he's not going to win. There's no way he's going to win. I said, okay, you'll see. And I wasn't able to share my piece because every time I tried, I was shut up. Like immediately, like, oh, he's this and he's that and Hillary. And it was just, there was no discussion. This isn't a debate. This was, I hate you because you're voting for this person. And that was something I had never encountered ever.
And that's funny that you talk about that, trying to have a discussion about why you're voting Trump or why you believe in these policies. Like you said, you can't really hold that discussion. And I had the same experience. I don't know about you, Leanne, but I would always end the argument, which is like, okay, you'll see. Like, you're not going to listen to me. You're not going to let me tell you what's happening. So just fine. Just go ahead and you'll see. And well, they saw.
They did.
Well, it's pretty amazing if you even just open up dialogue with people and then give them the facts. If they're willing to listen, I've had a lot of people change their mind and go, wow, I didn't even realize that because the media told me differently.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of my really close friends, it was interesting. Some from the LGBT community would call me and say, I'm voting for Trump. They almost like they knew I was, but I hadn't confirmed or denied anything with them. So they were reaching out already trying to say, I'm voting for Trump and this was my truth. And I feel like you would understand. And that was interesting that there was this like secrecy and privacy in it. And, that's how I knew he was going to win. I mean, from the moment that the polls started, just in a collective of talking to people about the candidates, you already had a good idea of who was going to win. So I thought it really interesting that the news outlets were forcing the narrative that this was who was going to win, and they were so sure. But the general population didn't have signs on their lawn this year. They didn't have stickers on their car this year. This should have said right away, something very different is occurring. And that anyone that didn't post anything, anyone that, as much as people want to say, oh, they don't know who I voted for or what my views are, they do. If you never posted or wrote anything about or even responded to any of the comments about the other candidate, it was pretty obvious who you were going to vote for.
Yeah, like if you didn't tweet Trump is a racist, you probably like Trump.
That's right. And that's another thing that's really unfortunate is that, you lost, get over it. Moving on. He is our president. And the reality of it is that the mocking of our first lady, the things that are going on it's just kind of crude and no couth or class. And our country is not that. That is not what America is about. We are a civilized nation. So this anarchy of angst and anger when they've been in power for 8 years, and now it's time to shift the pendulum, which is what politics is. It doesn't move a lot in a fast amount of time. It swings a little bit here, swings a little bit there, and we somehow over time find a center. And so I just find it appalling that, you didn't think he would accept, the results. We accepted them because we won. And now you're belittling and being mean and rude to anyone that loves country. The millions of Americans that have already died for our nation, going to Iraq, I almost want to say every artist should just do that. Philanthropy work, go to Iraq, go to some bases, go visit our military, see what these people really do. And the reality is that our country is not free. There's a lot of blood and bones on our flag of people that have died to protect our nation, to give us these freedoms of being able to be a lesbian or a gay man holding each other's hand walking down the street. There are things that have happened that have allowed us to have this freedom. And so to attack it and undermine the amount of strength that is behind this nation and the amount of incredible minds that has helped build this nation, it's just really hurtful. You don't necessarily have to love the man in power, but you do have to love that you're part of a really incredible country. There is nowhere in this world that is like America, and I've been to all of them. I can assure you, maybe others need to go and see what's out there when they think they're imprisoned. You know, in India, it is an offense to be gay. These are serious things that, you know, when you're throwing around religion and your ideology of what you think's going on, you really need to pay attention on what's going on, and accepting money from a candidate accepting money from countries that are okay with Sharia law, that are okay with women being possessions, that are okay with 9-year-old brides, that are okay with persecution of gays, to me is an abomination on the world to judge. That's God's job. That's not our job as human beings. We don't have the authority or the right to do this. So there's this angst within me going, you know, what is really going on here when, you know, you have Snoop Dogg and Bow Wow and all these people saying really hurtful, offensive things and not understanding that this is a bigger deal than what you think Donald Trump might be because he was on The Apprentice, or what you think he might be because he doesn't fit your mold. This is our president. This is our commander in chief now. And we need to unite as Americans. We need to unite as a culture and understand that there are people that want to harm us and what we believe. I have friends that are Muslim that are scared of radical Muslims. Like, this is not just a one-sided narrative. And so it's really disgusting that we're not able to talk. We're not able to communicate with each other because there's so much anger. And I do believe that's generational hate, generational pain. And we need to work past and through that. That's generational. That's not in the here and the now.
Right.
Let's
well, and it really will.
Try and forgive and forget, and not forget in the narrative of what has happened, that denounces what has happened, but in a way that says, you know, because I'm Native American. My father's a full Native American, born and raised on a reservation in Dallas, Texas. Does that mean that I hate all white people? Come on, this is lunacy. We are all out of many one people.
Right.
And so we should all unite somehow. We should all understand that for the greater good of our country, what we're sending out a message is that we're not united and we're easily divided, and that's easy to infiltrate.
Right. And I think a lot of young people will start seeing that we have a lot more in common when artists like yourself and entertainers do step outside of that box and say, look, the left can't claim that they have all the cool kids on their side, and you're only cool if you believe this certain way. And that they've really sort of owned the fact that, you know, the cool kids are on this side of the team. And I really appreciate, you know, you speaking out.
That's well, and I appreciate you guys for having me. You know, I think the most important thing is the amount of letters I've received, and I feel like viewers really need to understand. I've received letters from 13, 14, 15-year-olds that are gay, that are conservative, saying thank you. This is something that isn't just about being a cool kid. And by the way, it is cool to not want to do drugs. It is cool to care about unit, core, God, and country. It is cool to not always follow suit with what's going on around you. That is cool. And there are a lot of kids that don't have a messenger right now because all they're hearing over a loud microphone is this establishment is negative, they're racist, they're this, they're that. And there are a lot of children that are raised in conservative homes. I didn't realize that I was a conservative, and there was nothing wrong with me that I wasn't okay with what was going on behind the scenes of the dolls. That's really the root of it. It wasn't because I wanted to be number one or be more famous than the rest. It was, I wasn't okay with this collective. This isn't what I signed up for. I'm not going to sell my integrity or my soul for fame or for money, as no one else should. And so, you know, I never get aggressive, but when I saw what Bow Wow texted, I literally said, someone slap him up his damn head, because it's so ridiculous now that he would say something so uncouth about a woman. Human trafficking is a big problem.
Right.
Prostitution is a big problem. To make a connotation like, you know, someone's a hoe and a pimp and this and that, and you think it's funny or cool about our first lady, that was said about Michelle Obama. Are you joking? I would be everywhere and everyone would say, shame on you. But for some reason, because she's Slovenian, you know, and white and Mr. Trump's wife, somehow that feels like it's okay. But at what point is racism racism? And being discriminative toward women in a whole, it's disgusting. Those kinds of messages are teaching kids that it's okay to bully and abuse and be uncouth and be rude to an elder or someone in a higher position. You know, respect your elders, respect people that have earned those 4 stars, that have earned the right of running the government. And by the way, he earned the right. He played the game and he played it better than anyone else. Everyone was worried about popular votes, and he understood that, hey, I can hit way more states and go with, you know, with the college, with the collective. I can go and grab that. And that's smart to me. That's not, oh, he was unfair. He was the smarter of the 2 candidates. I mean, I would have thought maybe she would have, how could she not have known that? How could she not have known that? Her husband was a president. I mean, you have to know kind of the stream of how you can catch these votes. And it was focused on bigger populated areas, but not as many states. And so everyone's so confused.
Well, the truth is, Kaya, they thought that they were going to rig this thing. They thought they had it stolen. They thought they were going to cheat, and they thought they were going to rig it. They thought they had the votes. They thought they had the illegals, and they lost. They didn't get the numbers. It was a complete landslide for Trump. We're joined by Kaya Jones, formerly of the Pussycat Dolls. Now, I want to get to this on the other side. We're about to take a break here. And by the way, I think that we probably should have maybe slapped a pair of handcuffs on Bow Wow, not just across the side of the head.
I've been triggered all week from that.
But I get the feeling that there may be some politics involved here, but behind the scenes, people like Snoop Dogg, people like Bow Wow, people like Madonna, these are all people, Lady Gaga, these are all people with albums that are set for release. All of a sudden, they make a negative comment about Donald Trump, and they get publicity across the board. I think there might be something more to that. We're going to get the answer from Kaya Jones on the other side. Leanne McAdoo, Owen Schroyer, Kaya Jones, Alex Jones Show. Final segment on the other side. Welcome back to the final segment of the Alex Jones Show. Owen Schroyer, Leanne McAdoo. We're joined by Kaya Jones, formerly of the Pussycat Dolls, now solo EDM artist doing her own stuff. You can check her out on YouTube. You know, Kaya, you have actually worked with Snoop Dogg in the past. Many people probably forget that. You can choose to comment on that or not. But let's go back to my question before the break. How much of Snoop Dogg, Bow Wow, Madonna, Lady Gaga coming out and making these anti-Trump remarks, how much of that is personal, political, / how much of it is personal business? I just need attention to try to sell albums.
Well, you know, this is the thing. I do believe that there's a good amount of it that is solely focused on getting attention. And we know that President Trump has a lot of, you know, placement in the news every single day. I don't think there is any news article that doesn't include him.
I say he's the most popular human in the history of the world, at least as far as coverage.
Yeah, and he has the most powerful position as well. But everyone needs to lay off of it because he actually has to do a job. And you know, I don't really love Kasich, but I will say that his analogy is spot on. You know, am I going to not agree with my pilot or go against my pilot if I'm on a plane? Like. He's kind of the pilot of this country right now. Like nothing's going to change. He's not going to be impeached. By the way, you have to hold the House, the Senate, and all 3 are not with you guys. So you can't impeach him. I know you want to think that you can, and it sounds really good to keep pushing that narrative, but that's false. That's not true. And you're not educating viewers. Viewers need to understand, like, this is what's going on. Now take what you want from it and make it your own, instead of being forced a narrative that this is who he is, this is what he's about, this is what's going on, and this is the reality. We can impeach him. No, we really can't.
Yeah,
So,
it's incredible.
we could as Republicans, but no, Democratic liberals, no, you can't. You would have to have some control in, you know, the 3 positions. You don't hold 1, you don't hold 2, you don't hold 3. So pretty much it's, you know, one of the 2 positions, sorry, not 3, but I mean,
so, but my question is, do you think they're buying what they're selling, or do you think they're strictly doing it because they want attention?
No. I think that they do want attention. I do think they're buying what they're selling.
Okay.
You know, for me, I won't even repeat her name. I kid you not. I own every album of hers, went to every concert. I will never buy a single thing from her
Madonna.
again.
Go ahead and say
She
it,
has
Madonna.
no, I don't even want to.
he's
I
not.
don't like that.
I was a fan of Madonna too. I see her too. I know. I was a fan of Madonna. I saw Madonna's concerts and she's gone completely crazy and she's desperate.
No,
It might not even be her. There's plenty of them.
when you're talking about our White House, I mean, by the way, that's the people's house. Are you forgetting that that doesn't belong to Donald Trump? That belongs to the people. That belongs to everything that these incredible men and women have built through our nation and through the years, our Constitution, our values. It was lunacy to hear that come out of her mouth and think that that was, I guess you get by class. So that just shows it right there. As much as you want to marry a British guy and you've made hundreds of millions of dollars, you can't buy class. You're still a trashy girl from Michigan. And so bottom line is that you got to be aware of what's going on in our country. There are millions of Americans right now that are hungry and that are broke. There are millions of American soldiers that have fought for our nation that can't get proper health care through the VA and also living on the street. I mean, at what point are we going to say human trafficking is an issue for our country? Our veterans not being taken care of correctly is an issue for our country. Our men and women, blue-collar men and women, are not able to obtain jobs. We've gone everywhere else in the world, overseas, and it's hurting us now. This is what everyone doesn't understand is the world actually likes Trump because everywhere we go, they go, oh, you guys are the world police. And he's now saying, let's not be the world police for a second. Let's worry about us. And then let's fix everything later, in the world. And
Thank you, Kaya. We got to run to a break. You were a great guest. Guys, follow Kaya Jones. Find her on Twitter. Find her on YouTube. You stay classy, Info Warriors.
KayaJones.com.
Kaya Jones, roast Madonna. Roast Madonna.